Welcome back to the European LCS as we see a fan meet for the guys' developments. If you ever come join us here in the studio or the road shows, you'll get to meet your favorite pros. But for now, we're going to zoom in on H2K versus the UOL as they are about to go at it as the fight for playoff seeding continues to play out. Very interesting things happening, obviously, with Fnatic getting taken down as well. H2K, however, is vying for that #1 spot, which they are in currently with G2. Off the back of a great performance last week, H2K, much as we know them, 2-0, however, versus Splice and Rocket, so you could say those are more of the easier teams to take on, but they keep their high form.
They do, and H2K are a team that, unlike Fnatic, have been able to beat teams below them in the tables much more regularly and shown up throughout the split, even with the roster troubles that they had. But H2K, they've got themselves a battle today against UOL. UOL also play tomorrow against G2. It's a very tough road, and we're actually getting set up for a best-of-1 tiebreaker for seeding. And it's so important not only to get that automatic berth into semifinals, but to make sure that if you are first in the league, you then get to avoid the stronger teams below you for longer.
Yeah, and this is something we've touched on a couple of times, but it is made easier by looking at the bracket. So the long story short on this one is if you are first place, the first time you can ever meet teams 2 or 3 from seeding is going to be the finals. There is going to be a reseeding after the first round, so it means the highest seed will not be playing against #1, they'll be playing against the #2 team. It's all complicated. It is beneficial when you look at the teams that are going to make it to the finals and the road there. If you're first spot, you get a slightly easier road.
It makes it so important to continue a high level of form throughout all of the spring split. And this is something that teams are starting to feel the pinch of, because you look at the playoff bracket and you go, those 1 games I dropped, that surprise loss for Vitality to Rocket might put them into 3rd on the assumption H2K and G2 finish this week out 2-0. Fnatic's gone down. What more upsets can we have?
Yeah, exactly. And talking about upsets, indeed, the Unicorns of Love have not been looking good. Let's put it the way it is. They had really good signs in the beginning of the season. Of course, the famous quote from the Fish Show about their decision-making, but it did look good. However, all those changes in the jungle, and now Lulex joining in the end, they're 1-3 in the last couple of weeks. It's not looking good. I didn't see them taking this, but after that last game, hey, anything can happen.
Anything can happen, but it's been rough with Lulex coming in. And not all of the problems that Unicorns have been showing us have been on a jungle role, but on a more holistic decision-making area, like especially late game, Unicorns of Love just have been in this situation where they're unable to do too much on the map. They don't really commit to anything, and from that, they just end up stalling out in games, and their opponents take a fight, end up winning the game because, they're still dead by the time the Nexus turrets are going down. So it's rough for the Unicorns. It's not a simple fix here. This is kind of like a how to coach for the late game, which is not something that's like a seminar you can take.
And it's made so much more complex when playing against H2K, a team who have traditionally all split long, been phenomenal at macro and map play. So the weaknesses of UOL can get exposed very heavily by the strengths of H2K.
And on top of that, Lulex is playing versus his ex-team to spice everything up a little more. It's time to see this playoff preview unfold. So let's kick it over to the casters and load onto the Rift. Oh, 3 of them!
Whoa! Thank you, Shocks. And we'll bring Crepo for more Alice firepower onto the caster desk as we load up for the draft. Let's take a look at those lineups. For the league leading H2K on the blue side, it is top lane Odawame, jungle Yankos, mid lane Ryu, AD carry for Given, support Vanda, and coach Prolly.
Thank you very much, Paul. I'll take over from here.
Mate?
Yeah.
Actually, I'll take over. Division's feeling a little ill here. For the top lane, Visit Chachi in the jungle.
Hitting
Lulex
here, that's all.
Fox in the mid lane. Steelback on AD carry. Hillsang on support. And their
Sheepy
coach.
as the coach. Yeah.
Teamwork.
Okay, we nailed it, guys. Good job. Good job, team.
Thank you.
All right. So, yeah, Unicorns definitely had a rough last week, losing up against Elements. And Elements took another name in the last game that we saw. But, yeah, it will be an interesting one in this one.
Will it though?
I saw his face.
It should.
We were just all very
Not
occupied
be
with
an
Division
interesting
not dying here.
This should technically be a game where H2K goes in, outplays Unicorns of Love for most of the game, and just closes out, 35 minutes in? Because Unicorns right now, they're not looking very strong.
But in the spirit of the day though, where
Upsets.
Origin kind of wins more heavily handled than they should have, where Fnatic loses, H2K, expecting linear trends, they should just throw the game here.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how trends
Let's see what happens. I
Because
think
there's this negative energy in the air, you're feeling the karma, the mantra.
That's true. That's not a good zone for them to be in because they're in this negative zone. All right, let's see if it transitions into champion select. H2K up on the blue side. It's going to be the Gangplank first ban. Interesting first ban, yeah. With Gangplank definitely falling off in terms of priority. Rammus will be the next one, followed by Corki and LeBlanc out from the Unicorns.
Don't feel like we've seen a player from Unicorns really stand out on Gangplank, but clearly H2K respects it enough to just ban it away. Maybe don't want to risk it as a potential last pick coming in.
This could also be just a remnant of scrim results. Say H2K didn't scrim, obviously, Unicorns of Love this week, but last week or 2 weeks ago, and they had like an extensive couple of best of fives where Vizichachi whipped out the Gangplank and won every single game. Or H2K just simply don't care and only need 2 bans. Who knows?
Maybe, because the last one will be Kalista aimed at Steelback in the
And
AD
Forgiven.
carry role. And Forgiven.
Yeah.
Well, he's been playing it a little bit recently, but maybe he hasn't done well.
Probably not done well enough,
Maybe
so they
that's the
ban
problem,
it. Yeah, you don't have to risk him yelling. He wants it as a first pick. You just ban it away. Smart decision here from H2K. That's why they are a smart team. First pick wise though, Poppy is open. And we have seen in the other games, it is picked very early. Otherwise, a Nidalee pick, which is open now. And
I would like it.
Jankos didn't hit a lot of spears last week, but it is still Nidalee. She's still fantastic.
That's the beauty of Nidalee. You don't actually need to hit your spears. You can actually just power farm your jungle, get an advantage, and then you can still 1v on the enemy jungler while missing spear because you're so far ahead in farm.
I think they're debating it though. Nidalee, Poppy. What do we first pick?
Nidalee.
Surely Chachi will take Poppy here for himself, and then you can always go Gragas for Lulex, and you pick this strong team fighting composition. Because the way Unicorns of Love has been playing the last few weeks, team fight, and team fight some more.
This is where, on the last patch, we could easily see like a Nautilus, a Gragas come in as a rotation. It does guarantee you at least one pushing lane in the top lane. Generally when you play against Nidalee, and a good example of this is the Rocks Tigers, that the series they played against Samsung, yeah, with Ambition. You need pushing lanes to make counter jungling work. So, and it also showed if you don't have pushing lanes, how hard it is to counter jungle, because Ambition got caught a couple of times on that Nidalee. So you need to see if the Unicorns prioritize some pushing lanes in the early draft. Obviously they don't, because they picked Lissandra Trash.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, Lissandra is decent push, but a lot of mid laners will just push it straight into tower, so I definitely agree on that one. I'm also surprised with the pick itself.
The need to pick it this early.
Poppy's still there, and again, now obviously we are the new cool kids, me and Pulse, because we casted the last 2 games on 6.5, and Poppy was picked over Nautilus, over Rammus, over that kind of stuff.
I tried to pay attention to the games, but your casting kind of, you know...
It was so fantastic, you
Power
just
nap.
couldn't pay attention, so you were just listening to the casting and writing down every word I said.
The
So
Malfoam is like, oh, so good.
I assume you will now repeat my opinions of Attack of the Titans and so on. For this
Like, I
game.
love how it's you said Attack of the Titans just to trigger everybody.
Oh, the Titans, yeah, no, man, it's going well.
It's all deliberate.
But I did predict the Poppy here. We like the Poppy, me and Paul.
You also said on the first rotation we're looking at a Poppy. Oh, wait,
It
sorry.
should
I'm
have
meant to
been
be
a
on your
Poppy.
side. Sorry.
No,
Okay, yeah,
it
good
should have
prediction
been a
there,
Poppy.
Demisio.
I think this first rotation from Unicorns is actually weak, honestly. I don't feel like they're taking anything away from H2K.
They didn't take away any of the popular picks overall. And then they get just a strong draft, you know.
That's what you
strong
spend your time on, huh?
Strong winning top laner, an AD carry that suits Forgiven, and probably the strongest jungler if left untouched in the game. Generally, the Gragas matchup has been okay. Lee Sin has been okay into the lead, but you still need to kind of equal it out and then pull ahead.
And you gotta hit level 6 before you can deal with Nidalee at all. You need that ulti. Jhin could have been an option to have a strong 2v2 bot lane, and you would try and put pressure on the bottom side of the map with the Jhin. But it looks like we go for the AD carry that all our marksmen here in the EU LCS love to play, Sivir.
Well, thank you for stalling for a good 7 seconds, so I
was
now
waiting
say
for it to see if it
that
got locked
Sivir
in.
has been locked in. Okay, Lee Sin also picked up in the jungle, so you're talking about the matchup versus Nidalee. Also, if Lissandra end up going mid, that's such an easy gank to make happen at level 6. You just bring the Lee Sin in, pop the ultimate in from Lissandra, target's probably dead.
Yeah, it does mean though that say Unicorns go for a Nautilus as a last pick or flex Lissandra in the top lane, that the pushing lanes will be at their side, because Thresh Sivir will push in any Alice or Lucian lane provided they get Q flashed on and all in at one point, which I don't think will happen. So there's one push lane already. They have the control to make the second, any of the second lanes also push, and then Jankos will have a hard time invading if Luix can play around that.
It's gonna be Lissandra mid almost 100%. We don't really see her top lane anymore. She just can't deal with all these tanks. She can't kill them or anything. So what is he going to play mid here from Rio? Because Lissandra does have a fine laning phase into most of the things.
Azir?
We've seen this before, where again, Azir will push in the wave and like will have pressure in lane, but Lissandra outside of lane is very good at obviously forcing these engages onto him, and the big zone control she creates makes it hard for Azir to stand there and just deal consistent DPS. But it does give a pushing lane over to H2K, which Jankos can then play around and when he invades.
Yeah, that's also the Alistair locked in as the final one for H2K, making that the full composition. We're seeing more and more Azir come back into the meta, just kind of out of nowhere as well. Like, why is that happening?
I mean, if you look at the bans, it's also an indicator. Sometimes LeBlanc was banned, sometimes Scorpion. Now, like, a lot of people have put so much value on that Corki. You don't want to be on LeBlanc, so suddenly 3 mid lane champions are already banned out. You want something that can contest push, that doesn't really get pushed in because you're playing in Italy, and suddenly Azir is a good champion. There's also the changes to his kit in fluidity. He can so easily enter the jungle too when you're invading. He can dash over all those walls, join in the fights, and the new mechanic that you can actually kind of boomerang people instead of doing the old Shurima shuffle just make him such a versatile pick, and he really has a really high skill ceiling.
Well, final pick from Unicorns of Love. Timing it out will be Trundle going into the top lane there. So seeing more of that coming out of IAM as well. Interesting that Europe has now adapted, and we'll see how this one works out that we've had the full composition.
In many ways, Unicorns are trying to copy what Elements were doing in the last game. Oh, you want to run Azir, you want to run some of these teamfight comps where we play 1-3-1 with the Trundle against the Poppy, the same matchup we saw before, and then of course Lissandra always bringing Teleport, and you force Azir to run Cleanse when you pick Lissandra. He has to go Cleanse, meaning he cannot follow you to side lanes. So Unicorns with a very good 1-3-1 setup, and of course that's Sivir to always sit in mid and just push waves, instant. I just want to see what happens with Jankos in the early game. If he's able to actually get into the jungle and find Lulix because Rio can push mid. And I also think there's a high chance we get a lane swap from H2K.
They should.
Just to avoid that, you know, severe Thresh lane and even also the Trundle.
Yeah, well, H2K, big game for them. They had that 2-0 week last week. It was very convincing, and looking for that first seed, of course, it gives them that round 1 bye, which they're really looking for coming into this one.
Definitely, and we just saw Fnatic drop a game. If H2K is doing the same, then suddenly G2 is in prime position to take first place.
Well, you've seen the compositions. Now it's time to see these playoff contenders hit the rift as the race to Rotterdam continues.
I think their overall strength is just that they have good individual players, to be honest, and good macro game on top of that.
You cannot underestimate them or you're gonna lose, but I think if we focus and we play 100%, it's easy win.
And we are not into game. Runners.
It was a hype video for more caster talk.
The hype for the fish.
And here we are, and I felt like Unicorns of Love there. They basically described every good team in the world, good individual players, and a good macro game. I mean, that's basically what League of Legends is about. There's nothing else. Good players, good macro game. There you go. You're the world champion.
I'm just listening to that. The H2 Corns of Love are going to win this game.
From the Fnatic fans as well.
H2 Corns.
H2 what?
Fnatic
H2
fans,
Corns.
their own team couldn't win, so they jump on the H2K wagon now.
Wow. FPM. Anyways, I just got a note from our stats guy. In terms of impact on the game from a particular champion, teams that pick Nidalee on average have 1,100 gold lead at 15 minutes. So that's the most out of any champion that can really influence on game states, and that's because her play pattern is like that. You know, you just power farm your jungle, which is gold, and then you go take away more gold in the enemy jungle. All you have to do is make sure that your lanes survive. Now, once Lulix hits 6, however, on that lead scene, we have some really exquisite like skirmish potential, because he can show up on any lane and make that into a kill.
Yeah, I'm feeling a bit left out here because I didn't get the stat in my ear, so now Prepper gets to
You were talking.
as well.
okay.
You're talking. If you're talking all the time.
Yeah, stats bias.
All
I
right.
get it.
Thank you, Spellsy.
Remember, you can jump on Twitter and use those hashtags, hashtag H2KWin and hashtag UOL for the team you think is going to take this one, as we do now get into game. Who's just playing with your hearts just a little as we go onto the Rift once more for a very entertaining matchup here. Definitely a big win for both of the teams. Lots on the line to try and secure the positionings and jockey into the right positions as we head into playoffs.
Unicorns of Love fighting to get number 4 in the standings against Fnatic and Origin. Of course, with Fnatic losing, if Unicorns are able to upset H2K here, it certainly looks very good for them. And you want to get either number 4 or number 5, because you do not want to play Vitality in the first quarterfinal.
Yeah, barring any upsets.
Sure.
Vitality jumps up, but yeah, under the current situation, you just don't want to play the third seed, whether it's Vitality, H2K,
Yeah,
or
doesn't matter.
G2.
You don't want to play any of them.
They really don't want to face them. As for the gameplay, like touching on that point that you brought up, the Fisher, the lane swap, I definitely agree. Lucian Alistar, it's going to be so hard to lane. Yes, you can go even CS, Forgiven won't drop, but you just get pushed in over and over. It's very easy for Sivir and Thresh to control that lane, especially since they're playing Ignite as well. Vander going for the late game exhaust completely nullifies Hillsang's early Ignite.
And just Sivir, I mean, trying to deny her CS is just so hard. Like, unless you can zone off completely off the wave, give her 2 seconds, wave is gone.
Yep.
Like Ricochet, Boomerang, that's it. She stays even in farm. And she might push you back, which obviously is something you can do, but not with this setup, and that's why H2K are swapping. We'll find Chachi trying to do that old top lane cheese where you sit in the bush and you try and get just the 3 melee minions of experience and then you leave. But
was it TIP that hit there like for like absolute ages in any
I think it was, yeah, I think it was.
He walked out at level 4, it's like, surprise guys, you forgot the chicken brush.
He did a recall though, instantly. He decided not to sit around.
I wanted him to. That would have been cool, but not today. Hillsang, he's just he's over here. He's looking at that red buff, putting down a little bit of pressure. He doesn't know that Odoamne and Yankees coming around the corner.
He stopped them at Krugs though, so he's aware. He's just trying to slow them down as much as he can.
Maybe he's a goldfish and he forgot already.
Yeah,
it's very possible.
We have noticed that a lot in LCS and just in the history of people playing, that there is information on the map, but they choose to ignore it. So goldfish cosplay is completely possible.
They didn't ignore it, they spotted it, but then they forgot. That's the point there. Fox in the mid lane. It's just Lissandra versus Azir, so it should be going fairly even, but that's a lot of damage being put out by Ryu.
I mean, again, it's what we talk about. Lissandra early on, her Q is lower range than the soldier, so it's really hard to really do anything. You have to all in there, Azir, but he has cleanse, so it's more for outside of laning phase, while Lissandra will get the side lane pressure. Standard lane swap so far, not a whole lot there. Wave is coming from both teams. And now I want to see if any of them dare pushing like we saw Gamsa do in the last game. Push it down on the Poppy and then suddenly Trundle got to pick up some extra waves for himself.
It was definitely a different adaptation, but I think we're just going to see both of these towers fall here as normal. And out of the jungle as well. Yankas and Lulex looking at this matchup in terms of what Lee Sin's going to be doing early game. And Lulex as well, I don't know what to make of it, because Unicorns have loved 1-3 in the last 4 games with Lulex versus the other junglers they've been throwing in over the split. So definitely been on the downwards trend, but I don't know if we can just attribute all that to Lulex.
Yeah, we obviously have no idea of who's to blame for some of these decisions that they make in the bigger picture macro-wise. What we do know is that when they had Diamond in the roster, their macro play suddenly skyrocketed. It improved drastically, so perhaps he brought a shot calling element that Lulex can't really bring himself, because in the times when he played on H2K, it was still Kasing kind of spearheading the vision and everything, and they were very disconnected. So maybe he wasn't on the same page there, maybe he's not on the same page here in the Unicorns.
Definite possibility. So we've got the duo lane coming in from Unicorns going into the top lane, likewise from H2K. Jankos now clearing up the jungles.
We see the same setup though. The bot lane, top laner, he kills the tower and then he starts pushing in the wave. So Odoamne is now going to just go straight down and catch the wave, which is slowly pushing towards him. It's actually going to push back out because of the position of the minion wave. The blue side minions is going to join faster than the red side one once we get the next wave. The wave coming here is not the one that's coming from base from H2K. And therefore we get the 2v2 top side as well, just getting past the first few early levels. So big wave coming down from Chachi, going to be joined up slowly, pushing toward Odoamne and forcing Chachi then to give up some of the hits later on. Yeah. For now he can't push out because he's ahead in experience. He's level 4 to level 3, he's not really afraid. Just has to respect the jungle gank.
Yep, but there's also no Lulex there to cover him if he wants to shove it all the way to tower. Now Lulex and Hillsang going into the jungle, but the Rift Spirit is there having the smite on the Merkwolf, so they know that the Unicorns invade comes out. There's still a pink ward though, and Yankas jumps into the bush. What's that? It's the pink ward. Going to be taking that one away. 30 gold in the bank. And Steelback will be back in this top lane with Hillsang. Still looking at this bot lane though, the wave is still going to hit the tower. Bit of damage there, took a tower shot. But Chachi really wants to get this into tower.
Yeah, he should be fine. Also, whenever Poppy gets a last hit, the shield gets bounced back to her if she has her passive up. It really helps with getting her ass on the tower. And then into a melee matchup too, it's very hard for Chachi to punish because he'll just eat random tower shots. We see Odoamne even boldly trying to freeze the wave here, using that, again, that passive here for that little ranged Attack extension.
Jankos is here though.
Oh, spear onto Chachi, and Jankos will follow with some damage. Level 5 versus level 5. He's tanking the minions, but I mean, Chachi is just straight up dead. Just needs one more auto attack. Gets him with the takedown. That'll be the first blood over to Jankos.
And again, this is why teams, when they see the early push, they like to swap around and send the top laner down, because you know the other guy has to overextend for the wave, and he doesn't want to leave early, because then he falls behind in experience. And Jankos was actually spotted top side, then just pathed all the way down to the bottom side after his recall, pick up an easy kill.
Yeah, and Chachi, he was torn. Like, do I let my enemy top laner freeze his wave? Because I can so easily win the chunk, but obviously, when you play against somebody like Odoamne, you just have to respect that. When he's freezing, it is likely that he does that because the jungle is nearby to punish you then for trying to challenge a freeze. Maybe if he's a Chachi, he should have just backed off immediately, swapped around, see if he could have get anything in the top.
Could have got it.
Yeah. Done it.
Well, Jankos as well, he even landed a spear. You were saying earlier, Crepo, that they don't even need to land the spear to be effective, but if you land the spear, then you also get a kill. So
helps.
It does help, definitely, for sure. Forgiven, top lane, farming away. Did he go for call? No, he didn't, but Steelback did. He went for that on his first back. That's how interesting that's.
I think it will be a cold day in hell when Forgiven buys a Ko. Does not sound like a Forgiven build at all.
Well, he does do a lot of selfish decisions, but I don't know. What would be a selfish decision?
Lulex is level 4 on this Lee Sin to level 6 of Jankos, who also got the first blood, of course, to help him out. But like, this Lee Sin has been set so far behind in this swap here, so there's no jungle really for him to farm, because when the swap happened after the first tower died, he went to top side of the map and he invaded in. There was no camp for him to take, so he didn't really gain anything, while Jankos was just farming. He was just farming, and now he's taking away his camps. This is a proper Nidalee game where you just bully out the enemy jungler. Such a massive difference, and Lee Sin doesn't really have an impact pre-level 6.
And it also gets enabled by this kind of 2v2 phase starting, where Forgiven and Vander are past the rough point, and they can kind of tie farm. Because in lane swaps, obviously, there's just pure trading of jungle camps and lanes, and Nidalee can't really exert that advantage. And then Lee Sin spirals forward to level 6. But having to switch up at level 4, and Jankos then power pathing, getting the gank off, and now putting behind Lulex, it's really detrimental to Unicorn's approach to the mid game.
I think that's one of the very big risks when you decide to push the bottom lane, because then you expect it to become standard lanes quicker, enabling the Nidalee to play the style she wants, where if you keep the lane swap for longer, just keep trading side lanes, over and over and over, Nidalee doesn't get any extra farm at all. So it's very big difference in how the lane swap plays out, because yes, right now Trundle is ahead in farm, but there's like 3 waves at the Tower of Odoamne, so he's obviously going to catch up. So I don't 100% agree with the decision from Unicorns in pushing it out and taking that standard lane so quickly, because of the Nidalee pick, simply.
Well, Odoamne is going to be catching a lot of this wave, but he is definitely behind when it comes to Chachi in terms of farm. Picked up the Tiamat now, of course looking towards the Titanic Hydra, which is the first item, and even that first item spike is really good for Trundle. Odoamne on the other hand, of course, just going to go towards the Sunfire Cape. It will be the first item. Mid lane, Ryu, probably going towards Nash's, whereas Fox will just do normal thing and go Abyssal. So we've seen some of Ziers actually go for an early Abyssal versus the Nashers, or one or the other, or at least get Nag and Trunklo, because you were talking about in the last game to Fischio.
I like it though. I mean, Ryu is actually building up for both here with his choice. So he has the option to go both ways. He just wants instant power.
He just feels comfortable in the matchup.
Yeah.
He can go on the aggressive.
It's the same thing, because you play against a teleport mage who doesn't have enough damage to actually burst you 100% to 0. So you just stack as much early power, and then you just keep pushing lane. Like, you just keep pushing. That's all you do in this matchup, and you need to take that tower as it is here. You need to take that tower.
Also, Ryu's just a smart middle laner, so he can gauge the damage output from Fox. Hook goes wide, so we can continue talking here. Unless the jungler kind of intervenes, he can always escape the 1v1 when he knows it's going poorly. And because Jankos is invading and has a deep vision, they can keep perfect track here. Hang on.
Oh man, Fox going in. Emperor's Divide will bump him backwards towards his minions, and equal trade.
Yeah, he's always fine. 1v1, he's always fine, because he can always cleanse out and then ulti him backwards. Unless Fox maybe did a hero flash there. Oh, Jankos getting caught though.
Put in from Chachi over the wall on the tip of the death sentence will force the flash out.
Chachi changing into Hylissang and poking Jankos, and oh, engage!
Flash W, Ryu will be jumping away. The slide and glide back to his tower. He'll be living for another day.
Close engage there. Flash is being traded. Jankos still around the jungle. Vander as well.
Combo onto Lulex, jumps after a pounce, and he'll be using the ward jump, tossing that out, throws that to the turret, and he'll be backing away. A lot of close calls in this early game.
Still an issue for Unicorns of Love that are getting pushed down in mid lane, in top lane, because again it sets up Jankos to just keep invading in. He has backup. Ooh, we are just missing. Red buff over to Lulex and potential engage.
Oh, he's level 5. There's no unbreakable will from Vander. Forgiveness there to follow up. Lulex, the damage going on to him from the corn. The spear out from Jankos. Fox rotates from the mid lane. Killer Slang's there as well, trying to put some damage down. Some CC helping out his team. Vander's coming in from the backside. It doesn't quite land. And Ryu now follows up. That'll be the first kill. The second, the punish onto Unicorns of Love.
Yeah, zero hesitation on the side of H2K though. They opted out of the fight in the top side. Vander realizes his jungler is caught. He W's in, flashes, goes in for a hero exhaust just to buy more time as Odoamne comes in with a teleport too. So that's fantastic communication overall to turn that fight around.
And also again, H2K can just play so aggressive, even getting caught out slightly, because Silpai could never join. He was sitting top at his own tower. He's never going to join this fight in time. So as long as Jankos doesn't die instantly, one of the good things about Nidalee, the fact you can actually kite around and buy more time, rest of H2K can join in.
Yeah, and the beauty of playing this aggressive invade-heavy style is that you're challenging the opponent's resources. So should a play go poorly, yes, you drop a kill, but they can never get an objective off the back of it because they're so far pushed in. Let's watch this again though. So Vander kind of gets hooked here, but not much happens. So Forgive comes in with a good calling. The spear will connect, but just keep your eyes on what Vander does after this.
And also, Steelback, he keeps running into the fight and runs back from the fight. Now he wants to join in. Right now though, again, the wave is pushed so far back on top side. He's actually in the fight. He's not doing anything though with it, so I actually thought he was staying at the mini wave, but it's just them chasing Jankos, getting collapsed on, then TP coming in, no response from Chachi.
He had to cancel it.
Cancel straight away, okay. He saw basically like, I can't join.
Yeah, but he's like, guys, I'm TPing in.
And like,
2 of
no,
you are dead.
don't.
Okay,
Yeah.
cancel.
Yeah.
Eject, eject, eject.
I'll take the 2-minute cooldown, thank you, off my TP. So 80 seconds left on that one. Chachi is just chilling out in the bot lane. Odoamne is on his way, but I think he'll go back to base, so that one will just level out in the bot lane. More taken away by Jankos as well. Just they have control over the river now, so they'll just constantly be taking away these rift scuttlers, getting some more vision, gradually pushing up into Unicorns of Love's jungle.
Yeah, whenever they feel challenged or they're at the verge of making a mistake, H2K can always fall back to their own jungle, which will be full of camps anyways. So it's so hard for Unicorns. They need to win a fight in their own jungle, then they can't even get an objective out of it. It's so hard to get out of this kind of grip that H2K has on the game, especially if they put deep vision. You become very predictable. So it's once you're at this stage where H2K is at right now, it's actually a pretty risk-free environment.
Well, Unicorns now basically have to survive until a point where they can put Lissandra in the side lane, and you can start playing with these double global. So in case H2K are invading again, you have double TP coming in, and then H2K will only have like 4 members at most, and you trap them 5v4. Problem is with Rift Hell being taken now, another big wave pushing. Chachi is setting up a trap. Who's trapping who though?
I'm not sure. We're about to find out though.
Ooh. Respect flash.
Okay. Forgiven will have that one on cooldown now, and Jankos will actually head into the jungle here.
This was something similar that the Fisher was describing here, because they pushed in, they had the Trundle hiding in the bush, and then the Lissandra walked over from the mid lane. H2K knew something was up, so they checked the brush, obviously found out a Trundle was lurking there. And that's a good flank opportunity, but that's what Unicorns need to do. Wait for the push, try and go around, double flank, pincer, call it what you want, and see if they can find an answer that way.
Alright, so also looking at the junglers and just how much Jankos is taking from camp to camp, he's at 5,000 gold versus 3,700 from Lulex. There's such a big disparity because he's just taking everything from him.
We'll add in an extra tower, now soon to be more towers even. Also the fact he has a kill and 2 assists. Yeah, Jankos is super far ahead of Jankos, or of Lulex at this point, but now another tower. Again, it's using the Rift Hill. Just keep pushing in these big waves, and because Unicorns are so far back on the map, they can never really push further than the river. You get to river, you leave. You're like, alright, we're not going to take it any further. So it's very easy for H2K to pick a lane and just fast push it back into towers. Vander, is it bait or is he caught?
I don't know. Well, he's taking a lot of damage, hasn't popped Unbreakable yet.
He was
I don't
caught.
think he's in kill range. He was caught, but there was good clarity there because he didn't even pop the ultimate.
Yeah, nor the exhaust, and that's the beauty of Alistar though. When you play the style where Unicorns, that all they can do is really double down on a single lane and try and pick a member off, having a support like Alistar that can freely walk at the front line and then just ulti out worst case, it makes the style look easy.
And you also have a Sivir, who in a game like this, when you play 1-3-1 with double TP, her ulti doesn't have the same value you normally would see, because she normally does extremely well with these big tanks, and then she engages with the tanks to speed them up, and they like get to the backline, and the enemy AD carry does like 0 damage. In this case here, she's mainly just here for wave clear. Like that's her main purpose, is just wave clearing, and you win on side lanes. But because you've been pushed so far back, setting up your 1-3-1 is very difficult.
If you do get ahead with the Sivir, yes, the ulti kind of changes from rushing into teamfights into a more let's speed up the rotation from one lane to the other. Let's pick somebody off that wants to defend this tower in between these towers in the jungle. You want to pick them off. That's kind of the approach you take with the Sivir. But if you're losing lane, Sivir becomes utterly useless because any action you do is so telegraphed due to that deep vision.
And H2K, they just have such control, and they engage in the bottom lane. Chachi is going to be CC to high heaven. He really can't get out of here. I believe he just flashed towards the minions to try and clear these away, maybe try and stall them, but the front line of minions are still there, so H2K are easily going to take this one away.
And you can see how far behind Unicorns are on the play because they were making somewhat the same on top side. Odo Amne said, you know what, I'm not even getting close to this tower because my team is making play on bottom side. Engage on the Trundle. Get the kill, push in further now. Recalls are coming from Unicorns a lot. Not sure if Odo Amne can stop any of them.
Yeah, and this combo actually has really good siege. You know, the trample on towers, the attack speed from the Nidalee, both range just whacking away. This tower is gonna melt immediately when
16 minutes in.
not being defended. And H2K just complete control of the map. There's
Again, it's the same thing, right? Every time Unicorns takes a wave and they're like, let's go push a tower. They started their own tier 2 tower.
Yeah.
And they slowly push it out. H2K is seeing the wave the entire time going like, all right, how much time do we have? All right, we already got the wave on bottom side. Push in for that. And then just too slow reaction.
Yeah, and this game is also indicative of the downward slope that the Unicorns are kind of skiing on right now. This is the most gold they've ever been down the entire split at 15 minutes. Yes, obviously it's against H2K, but the Unicorns that entered the split was so kind of ferocious, you know, 8 out of 8 first bloods or something, if I remember correctly. Diamond just being involved left, right, and center on the map, and right now they're just so passive, and they fall behind almost every game lately.
And not to only just praise H2K in-game, the pick and ban phase, as we talked about, you know, that first rotation of Thresh and Lissandra. When you already had Nidalee locked in as the first pick, and then it gave a Poppy over, Lucian for Forgiven, a lot of really strong power picks, and by taking Thresh, you don't remove anything, because there's Alistar, there's even Braum, if needed, so...
Oh, here comes an engage from the Unicorns of Love. Hylissang's there from the back lines, and this is the TP also coming out from Fox. Odo Amne is going to get locked down. He goes down, but Fox goes flying. Forgiven now under attack, and that is a hook landing onto Forgiven. That will result in the kill. The death sentence was issued out there. Now, Chachi is onto Jankos. He doesn't have the CC just yet. He'll have to flash away. Respect the E coming out, but Fox will flash, come into the W. Chachi finds another kill with the Chomp coming down. 3 for 0. Good punish from Unicorns.
And this was basically the best play possible for Unicorns at this point. Just get a hard engage on top side here. Ryu was running from mid lane, but he was still pretty far away from the fight when it started. And H2K dropping the ball.
Yeah, but imagine if Ryu just didn't run to the fight. He could be at tier 2 tower pushing it down already. That's the position Unicorns find themselves in. Even if they made this play perfectly executed, Ryu could have just pushed down tier 2 and mid. Luckily for them, he did chase in though.
So it's H2K chasing here, and they're not respecting the fact that there's a Lissandra teleport. So when they're going this deep and their mid lane is at their own mid tower, this fight is very, very tricky to take. Sivir ulti gets popped, TP in as well from Lissandra, and suddenly it's a 4v5. This is what we mentioned, use side lanes. But then also H2K should never have been in this situation, like ever. Wait for your lanes to push, then start chasing kills. They got super greedy, and they got punished.
Yeah, and this is something we don't usually see from H2K. Very calm and collected. It seems more like a G2 type of play to me sometimes. Yeah. Really, okay, we see a fight, we take it. H2K usually more composed. They got baited in by the gold lead. Luckily for them, they were so far ahead that in the grand scheme of things, this fight may not matter as much.
Big difference though between if we take H2K and G2. If G2 had chased for those kills, Perkz had already been running from mid lane way before the fight even started. This time here, I'm not even sure if Ryu had time to move at all, so I'm not going to put any blame on him. It's on the rest of H2K for picking a fight they never should have. They got greedy for kills, basically. Probably is noting it down, and the team is going to get punished.
But this is the way that Unicorns are going to come back into the game. You said this earlier, Crapper, they have to win a fight in their jungle or somewhere in River and actually come back into the game that way. Yes, okay, maybe they haven't come back into the game completely because they did also lose the Dragon, and now they're being pushed in mid lane.
They're being pushed in. Vizicachi has teleport available. There's no flank wards though, so that's why Fox is moving over obviously without the teleport.
Odo Amne should already be back here though to take the wave. He has TP. He's recalling now. Tower being put up by Ryu, one of the best looking towers by the way ever.
Oh yeah, pretty sweet.
But Chachi can do a lot of damage to this turret.
I'm not even sure if it's dead frozen to make
that. No.
The backline of minions and the
might
rest of the team closing in here. It's Alistar, Nidalee, and Poppy following up here.
Yeah, look for the reaction in mid lane though by the Unicorns. They're putting pressure in mid, so Jankos kind of has to deflect the path and go defend. Unicorns may have overstepped their boundaries a little bit in the mid lane. Vander's looking for some aggression.
Steal
Odoamne
back.
TP'd.
Defensive ultimate used from Sivir, but Odoamne goes in deep. He gets locked down. He gets frozen up and taken out. Fox will eliminate him from the battlefield. Ryu, oof, the Q almost landing on him from Lulex. And they're getting a lot of chunk damage in return. Unicorns have some time to play with.
Another overly aggressive fight by H2K. Played in the open, very predictable, and honestly, fantastic job kiting by the Unicorns. They turn on Odoamne the second they can. After he uses his ultimate, he finds himself completely alone in the backline.
Just playing out the blue. I was about to say, hold on, H2K. You lost your top laner here.
Let's
they're
go.
going.
Wow, they actually are.
So they cleared out the blue trinket, so Unicorn should have an idea. At least they are around here and could have stayed. Chachi's coming toward it. It's going out.
This is
so
dying.
Fast. Zero is naturally tooth there, just destroying it.
It's gone. Wow, what a play from H2K.
They lost the top laner.
But you wouldn't expect them to do Baron because traditionally,
killed the blue
why
board.
would they? You don't have a tank to do it. But Alistar ulti, even with the Alistar ulti, Vander dropped to half HP right there. So that is kind of the thing that changes because usually they would be so chunked by that Baron overall that if anybody faced X, like a Sivir would just like one-shot them.
Everyone, yeah.
And like the whole setup from H2K, they had Forgiven and Ryu just hide around the corner when the blue ward got killed. So they only saw Alistar. That was it. Engage happens here. So Odoamne coming in very far back. His team has no way of actually following this engage from him because the TP happens from Trundle and you have to respect that. You can't just walk by it.
Yeah, and they were looking to trade situations top laner for top laner, but the instant flash from Vizicachi actually makes that happen. A little overreach again. The reaction is mid because Trundle is seemingly getting caught top. Then they think Unicorns overstep, so H2K want to punish. But the second Sivir ulti gets used, H2K should be happy with the ultimate usage. If you then get a fight, it's only because the Unicorns allow you to.
I mean, still that Baron setup here.
Yeah.
They hide around the corner of the Baron, so the blue trinket doesn't spot anyone other than Vander. He clears out the blue trinket, and basically Unicorns is saying, well, the top lane is dead, so they're not going to do it. It's just him getting a trinket, he's walking back, or he's getting a ward and he's walking away. But because Azir is so good at taking down Barons with this Nash's build, and you probably haven't even played like, that much against Azir lately, you probably got, I mean, Unicorns got super surprised.
It's almost the inverse of kind of standing in front of the pit and faking the Baron with 4 members, really just using vision to your advantage and baiting your opponent into a scenario they don't really expect.
So what does this Baron now mean for H2K? Because they've exposed the bottom side, and now they can actually take this one down. But actually from losing all of these fights and then starting to be able to take base structures is kind of crazy. Odoamne being dragged into the team here. That's the culling. Gonna knock him away with the Keeper's Verdict, but Odoamne goes down. Lulex kicks everyone into the team. Forgiven is getting chunked out. Vander into Unbreakable Will. There's the jump in by Jankos, looking to go huge here, but he can only go so far. That's the first kill, but straight up Chain CC, triple kill, Alpha steal back, 4-1, advances to the Unicorns.
I mean, absolute disrespect from H2K. Where was the Azir ultimate so late? You know, use it earlier. Disengage Poppy just completely overextends. They never respect any zone or semblance of engage from the Unicorns, and then of course you will die. Just need the H2K to really start respecting this more teamfight-oriented Unicorns of Love.
I mean, we can praise the early game from H2K as much as we want, the macro play, but in a lot of the games this split, when it comes to team fighting, they've been a lot weaker than the other top teams in the EU LCS, and some of it might be disrespect, some of it is not understanding, you know, how to coordinate your different abilities to defend yourself and kite back when you play Azir, when you play Alistar. So like, engage comes in, Lissandra is gonna TP in behind, so super good engage here from Unicorns of Love, and just catching out Forgiven in the back.
Yeah, they just disrespect another TP flank. Every time they start a fight so far this game, it has been ruled by some TP of sorts. Obviously, the kick here from Lulex has to be praised. A 3-man kick to really buy enough time for Dylan the Lissandra to land and turn on Forgiven. Also, Hillsang, whenever he hooks, the entire Unicorns of Love lineup is ready to commit to that target. They don't wait to see if the hook connects. Like, it's like he's calling it as he's flying. Okay, this guy is going to get hooked. They're ready to pounce on him, and they just immediately drop. Blue buff. Jankos takes his revenge. You kill my team, I take your buff.
Yeah, well, either way, Unicorns of Love have been playing exceptionally well this game, like specifically in those team fights. You're talking about the flank engages with the TPs and just generally playing it well. Like, Lulex mechanics in that last team fight hasn't even died yet this game. Kicked a tank into the team.
And he was really far behind early.
Yeah.
Like, he was
so far behind, we even called it out in terms of gold.
He was really, really far down, and then bounces back, good team fight. Same for the rest of Unicorns of Love, the entire team were behind. And now the problem for H2K is, you technically don't want to opt into more 5-on-5s where you can get flanked on, but you can't really play the 1-3-1 setup because you get double TP. There's a window because the Sandra TP is on cooldown. Once that is up again, Unicorns of Love will control side lanes.
Also, you're looking at a very strong Sivir here. Forgiven is forced to go QSS third, Well, Steelback's looking to finish his Infinity Edge as soon as he can. You have a tanky frontliner that can usually keep Sivir busy, but because of the Trundle ultimate, Odoamne will melt a lot quicker than usual. I think that's something that's throwing H2K a bit of a curveball here. They're not used to their frontline tank melting as quickly in the fight.
Even then, it's also just when one tank goes in, 1v5, he's obviously going to die very quickly. So when he's been able to engage in, the rest of H2K were not able to follow. And then Odoamne has just gone down in the front. He got hooked in that last fight by Hylissang. Again, got singled out, got chunked down. He's in a side lane, put Trundle in the same lane, and Odoamne won't be able to do much. We might see QSS come in for him against the Trundle ulti, but it's not going to help him in team fights. Big issues for H2K. Slightly ahead of goal. Can't really play their 1-3-1 here. Can't really use the Nidalee as they want to.
Yeah. They're kind of stuck right now. Like, thematically, like, on the map. So they need an outplay from Rio. I think that's the way to break it open, is just simply an outplay. Something where Unicorns are not used to playing against the Zir. Don't see the combo coming. He can split up the fight. H2K need to single out some members of the Unicorns of Love. Or just flash the hook, because if Thresh stands still, he hooks and he misses, he is useless for the next few seconds. Yes, he has box and flay, but he really relies on landing that hook, and that's why he's kind of fallen off in support priority, because he's so conditional or so dependent
on getting in range,
getting the hook actually landing, because you overextend so far into the enemy team when you do miss.
Well, Unicorns of Love in this game definitely itemizing a lot now, as you already called. The Quicksilver Sash had to be picked up for Forgiven. It's difficult for him in teamfights as well, because they're always getting pincered. Fox always just point and click. The ultimate is like, okay, you can dodge skill shots, but you can't dodge a point and click. And continuously they've been able to pick up the kill. Maybe now Forgiven will be able to get out of that and maybe survive for a little bit longer, but still the damage is so big just from the ultimate by itself. And the last teamfight, he just got hit by a random ricochet to finish him off, and it's just like, it's so difficult to play out this game as Forgiven's position.
And you're also just going to get to the point where Lissandra just ulti yourself.
Yep.
Right in front of him. And you're like, well, you can't move past me, because as soon as I'm out of my ulti, I can just snare you and Q you and you die. So,
followed up by a Zonias for another 2.5
right,
seconds.
exactly. Yeah. So Lucian always have that problem. In teamfights, his low range will really punish him, especially when you go static shift as well. You don't get the rapid fire cannon extra range. Yeah, you get more wave clear, but it hurts him in teamfights. So Forgiven is relying on these fights where it gets completely spread out almost, and he can like single out one target and doesn't get zoned completely off.
Also, these fights are very explosive. People die in like a fraction of a second or maybe 1 or 2 seconds. Azir kind of needs some time to build up the fight. Like, he needs a couple soldiers up and then do repetitive damage overall. Rio may very often not get the time, because by the time he has everything set in motion for his play, one of his team members is already dead.
The fight's already over.
Very fun though, we get to see what both teams have been doing, especially looking at the last few weeks or for H2K the entire season. You know, the strong early game, understanding how to play the map, use your jungler advantage to put pressure, and they were really far ahead. But also Unicorns of Love, the way they've been playing games is just like team fight, team fight, team fight. And today they're showing they understand how to engage with flanks, especially from this Lissandra pick, which has been working out well for them. And Chachi now is that monster split pusher.
In addition to that though, Unicorns, their AD carry is like the complete opposite from last year. Consistently shining. Steelback has had so many good performances overall, knows how to position in teamfights, and he's kind of the invisible thread that always cleans up. Complete opposite of, for me, for Vardax from last year.
Definitely. Now we get a bit of a slow moment in the game. Unicorns are just farming side lanes, and as we mentioned, H2K can't really play side lanes. They've also learned rushing 5-man straight up towards the enemy base means you get flanked. You have to constantly like clear out an area of the map with pings and sweepers to make sure there's no ward right behind you they can TP on, but that takes way too long to do, and it's so hard to set up without getting engaged on.
At this point though, H2K can repeat that Baron whenever they want, with any 4 or 3 members, so that's why we see the Unicorns opt for 3 blue trinkets. They're really scared of it, but that hurts the foundations of the remaining vision, the actual vision that lasts longer, you know, the wards that you want to put on the map. That makes it very hard to split push. With only a Sightstone and 1 yellow trinket, it's incredibly hard to get a safe split push going, so that's why both teams are kind of never extending too far across from the river. H2K is scared of flanks. Unicorns don't have the vision to really cement their split push with it.
H2K have, in this game, been really proactive, but it's not always worked out. Specifically since like the 18-minute mark, Unicorns of Love have gotten 8 kills and only died once, because Unicorns just receive H2K coming into them, and then they just murder them because H2K overextends.
And we just see, look at the side lanes again. Push in on top side, no one's there to stop it because you can't. If you move someone there to stop it, engage happens around the mid lane. So Unicorn should have first dips on getting in towards the Baron pit. and setting up wards for themselves. They have 3 pings in the inventory. You just need also a ward in the enemy jungle near the blue buff that you can TP to. In case they want to go in and contest the Baron vision, you TP in and you take the fight. So Unicorns are definitely still looking for every opening possible to fight.
That's why I really like this triple pink ward setup that H2K have done. They're making sure that they at least can't get flanked when they do step into the Baron area. Really defensive pink wards, and then they can build on that foundation with some deeper vision. Overall though, the 4 remaining parts that are not split positions, so not Overwhelmed and not Visage, they're also squishy. So one mistake can immediately mean so much for the game because everybody will just blow up.
And this pink ward area, as we talked about and Trevor just mentioned, is like, we don't want to get TP flanked. The only issue is, it only sets you up for one play, and that is actually go and fight for the Baron vision and then the Baron later. Because obviously if you start moving, let's say to Dragon, you don't have any pings. And then the TP is going to happen behind you. So entire focus for H2K is saying we need to pick up a Baron and use that to push into the enemy base. Otherwise, we are afraid of fighting and moving too far forward.
Another thing to keep track of, though, in this game is H2K has gradually been picking up dragons. Now it's just spawned, and they will be trying to contest this because then it'll be on the tipping point for Aspect.
Yeah, it's a combination of both points. That's actually where we may see the deciding point of the game because at one point H2K may get greedy for that 4th or 5th
They
dragon.
shouldn't be able to, though.
And Unicorns may just opt for the fight. They shouldn't.
Yeah,
but it may still happen.
Again, as long as you keep pushing top lane here, H2K shouldn't find an opening to just go dragon. And as we see here, it was pushed down. Azir shows up to clear dragon for Unicorns of Love. And yeah, it looks nice and fancy, 3 dragons. It is useful, especially the 2nd dragon now. It just gets broken so easily, and Unicorns are playing this 1-3-1 correct. And H2K only has one play with the map setup, and that's just wait for Unicorns to make a mistake, move in, rush down the Baron one more time, and then use that to try and go and close out the game. Or wait long enough for more defensive items to come in, so this burst from Lissandra drops, because Lissandra is awesome in the mid game. Late game against BT, Moore, QSS, she struggles to burst down targets and she becomes more of a zoning tool.
Yeah.
And then you have like the Sivir, who's the main damage dealer, but the Puppy will try and single her out every time.
Azir's just getting scarier and scarier on Ryu. He's sitting on 2.5 items, and case in point, ladies and gentlemen, Fox is getting absolutely bursted out. Ryu trying to get in range, instant cleanse, instant soldier, instant kill.
And can he recall? Steelback is coming though. No, Steelback will get him.
Yeah, he's dead. He is off the rift. That was a 1-for-1 mid laner's exchange, but he got the flash out from Fox. Ryu didn't even have to flash for that kill.
Well, that was one of the plays H2K were looking for. Had they been able to just instant pop the Lissandra and then back away, they could have maybe gone Baron right after, and that was the whole setup around this top side of the map. But Amna and Chachi is not very exciting to look at.
Not at all, but the percent damage is gradually whistling Chachi down, but as soon as Chachi decides he wants to go in for a trade, throws in domain, pops the subjugate, and then he starts winning. Overwhelmed, getting a lot of poke damage though. Jankos from the side, spear didn't land, there's the subjugate. He is growing in size, and he is piecing out. See you guys.
Yeah, it might look like...
Baron from Unicorns,
yeah.
2 on the bottom side.
Jankos on bottom, but Ryu's dead. TP for Lissandra in 8 seconds as well. In case a fight breaks out, it should be 5v4 for the Unicorns of Love.
Odawane TP on the top of your screen, watch him.
Vander trying to buy time, Forgiven off to the bottom side. Odawane looking for the flank, and they are pinching in Unicorns of Love. They already got chunked out. Fox is now coming into the fight. He finds Vander. Jankos tries to get into the fight, but not going to be successful. Lulex takes down the cow over the wall. Odawane couldn't get into the fight.
A lot of TPs used, and
Jankos.
Jankos hiding in the bush with the pink ward, and suddenly H2K with their Zia back alive have the pressure around the Baron, and suddenly Unicorns of Love have to now fall back. Everything was used there. Double TP used, Baron being started now. No pinks on it, so they can see everything.
A little overeager maybe on the Baron. Look at how quickly it's going down here. H2K with absolute confidence going for the Baron.
Forgiven, moving on to Chachi. He's going to respond with the damage. Lulex over the wall, comes in maybe a little too early. 50 health remaining. Jankos will pick up the kill onto Baron Nashor. Now Odawane finds them and shoots 2 people back to their base. Odawane, he'll be going down for the pleasure of that Baron. Jankos over the wall, looking for the assassinate onto Steelback, but he'll find him with the crit. Double kill in for Steelback.
I think the Baron attempt was a little early because if you look at what Unicorns used to start that Baron, it was double TP. That means their entire strategy of 1-3-1 was no longer viable, and H2K could actually slowly push the vision line forward and guarantee them Baron. Right now, they're losing on the Baron power play, and they're looking to lose some more towers in the mid with an ill-advised, slightly too rushed Baron.
This is 30 seconds.
game here?
Unicorns can close out this game here. You have Sivir pushing in, you have Trundle to tank the tower. Forgiven is the only man alive who can really defend.
Well, this is not a good Baron power play. Unicorns of Love pushing down the middle lane. They've got a big minion wave there. Vanda, he's going to jump in, try and get some CC down. They're going right onto the tower.
Oh, forgive me,
he's out of there. And Vanda, what can he do? Nothing at all. Unicorns of Love, he'll take him down. They'll take down the Nexus itself. And Unicorns of Love with the upset over H2K.
Nothing is going as expected today.
No.
Called it.
It's reverse day.
It's negative. There's
Yeah.
negative space in the air here, you know.
But like, this game showed a fantastic early game from H2K. We couldn't praise them enough. You know, the pick and ban phase from it, criticized, you know, the early rotation from Unicorns of Love giving over Poppy in Italy and everything. But then H2K also showed the main weakness of this team is team fighting. Disrespectful chasing, getting TP'd on from behind multiple times.
For me, it's more that they stopped thinking ahead.
Yeah.
Like at one point, they were just not thinking straight. They just got Unicorns of Love to commit for a Baron play that they then traded 2 teleports for. At that point, the whole reason the game was stalling out was that double TP. That was now on cooldown for 4 minutes. They could simply just group up, push out, get the vision, set up a bait, potentially do the Baron. That was even a 50-50. Luex almost stole that one.
Stole it.
If he used his Q maybe 1 or 2 seconds later, then the Baron would have been in steal range.
Yep.
And
You were supposed to just have control around the Baron because you just push them back, use the TPs. This, by the way, only the second game H2K loses where they're ahead of 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's obviously a big surprise. Also because Unicorns of Love in the last 3 weeks have been looking very, very shaky. But suddenly they're now stepping towards number 4 in the standings, and H2K might have just lost the first place to G2.
That's massive.
if you look at that spear from Yanka's too, it connects onto Steelback, and he wants to trade 1 life for Steelback there, and he just ends up suiciding, and he could have been the fundamental part that maybe have at least the Nexus being able to be defended.
It's hard to say, right?
It's very short term focused for H2K.
Yeah.
They try and go for the play, and they don't kind of calculate the repercussions if it fails, because they're so used to all their plays working out. But I think major props to Unicorns of Love overall for coming back at this game, because I had written them off personally. I thought there's no way this team, with their current level of teamwork, would actually break home that game, and they win 2 or 3 fights in repetition.
Yeah.
Mostly by singling out Odoam there.
Yeah, and that's what I want to highlight, though. Like, H2K, to me, were like this smart team, right? Like, they think 5 minutes into the future, they're setting up plays. And to me, in that game, like, it didn't seem they were setting up anything. It was like, we're looking 5-10 seconds into the future. Can we make this fight happen? Probably. And then they go for it, and then they just lose.
I mean, making the fight happen is easy, because you know they're going to engage on you.
But you've got to win, right? And that was not what happened in that game. So we're going to send it over to Pyrotechnics to speak to the winners of this game, Unicorns of Love.
Thanks very much, Pulse. I'm joined by the top laner from Unicorns. It is Viz Ichachi. Congratulations on your win. I want to talk to you a little bit about how you guys pulled it off. That's some of the crispest team fighting I've seen in several weeks. How did you manage that?
We had a really good team fighting comp against theirs, I feel like, because they had Nidalee jungle, for example, and it's really easy to catch. And I had Trundle top lane, which is right now the natural counter to other tanky top laners, because you can just steal their resistances and become like twice as tanky as them. Meanwhile, you can just kill them fast. So our team fighting was better, and we knew that in game. So we just tried to force them. It worked out really good.
It definitely did. I'm glad you mentioned the Trundle. I wanted to ask you about that pick in general. We saw it a lot in support to the start of the season, and now it's moved back up to the top lane. What do you make of the top meta at the moment?
It's mostly tanks right now, but I feel like Graves, GP, and such are still really strong too. So like they are playable into the tanks. It requires a bit different playstyle, but they are fine too.
Well, please see more of that explosive action. And of course, moving ahead into playoffs, you guys have gotten yourselves another win on the board towards the end of the season. A good trend as always. But I want to ask you now, going forward, looking at the playoff seeding, where you guys expect to fall, and what do you think of your state of the team going towards that postseason?
I think we are pretty good right now. We just won against H2K, and it will depend a lot tomorrow how we play. If we can grab a win there as well, I feel like we are really good to go into the playoffs.
Well, a lot of people are cheering for you, as you hear. Unicorns chanted all around here. Thanks for joining me, Chachi. You can go ahead and join your team. For now, though, we're going to send it back the analyst desk way to break down how Unicorns pulled off that big win over H2K.
Thank you very much, Pyra and Chachi over there. The UOL, indeed, when a lot of us had written them off in that race for 4 and 5 and put them in 6th place, they come back and they pull out a win versus H2K.
Yep, I called it. I said they were going to lose their games. I said they were going to play 6th. I
uncalled it.
did not anticipate it at all. And we've gone full Europe. All of a sudden, we have 2 back-to-back upsets, which is something we've not seen really at all. And Unicorns of Love find a performance that really got a chance by punishing H2K's over-eagerness. I still feel that H2K had made mistakes that then ended up costing themselves.
Yeah, let's take a look at one of the replays. That was one of the deciding ones to get UOL back in the game. Exactly what you say. H2K, they have everything in control here, but the Unicorns of Love managed to capitalize on the overextension.
Yeah, it seemed to be so good for H2K throughout the entirety of this game, but again and again, either Odoamne was getting caught out or he was over-aggressing into fights. This time was the former. He gets caught early on, and from here, it's kind of all on Forgiven to somehow outplay here. On such little health, it's never really going to happen, and Steelback is so far ahead right now when he's picking up these kills. Steelback is a player that kind of is silent for the majority of times, but is putting up these massive score lines in games.
And it's really interesting because when you look at H2K's games throughout the split, they tend to get their leads and snowball from towers, and then once they have map control and vision control, they make informed, smart decisions. This was a game where they tried to do that, but then they got over-eager. They got into team fights, they got into these aggressive skirmishes that actually they're not super comfortable with because most of their games don't go that way. I think it's a very rude awakening for H2K. It is slightly better to happen now in week 9 than in a quarterfinal or a semifinal where you can, be put on tilt. But it is something they have to learn to do when we look at the postseason.
The thing is, and Deficio, Crepo, and Pulse talked about this on the end of the game, this is a team, the Unicorns, that typically aren't good in the late game. So they are going to make a couple of errors. We've seen that for the last couple of weeks. And H2K just committed to a play because they felt like this game was running away from their grasp. They thought they had it, and then they started losing it. And there was a couple of desperate plays. The Jankos jumping over the wall. Odoamne couldn't really play the 1v1 for a long time until very late on, and was struggling to try and get himself into fights as well. So H2K just looked desperate, and I think that's one of the first times we've seen them look like that.
I completely agree, and I just want to give some props to the Baron call from Unicorns. When there was the engage down on Chachi in the bottom lane, he manages to peel away from 2 members of H2K and instantly TPs for Baron. I just really like that decisiveness in terms of their teamwork and their cohesion. It managed to work, and you saw Lulex's grin at the end. He took down UOL. And it was great to see. H2K, sorry. Took down
his
H2K,
ex-team, and that makes that 4-5-6 UOL, Fnatic, Origin very interesting, as well as Vitality possibly still having a chance to move up in the standings. H2K can drop down. Whew, it's all crazy. It's all Europe here. And up next, it can get even crazier as Roccat takes on Team Vitality. And they have to close that window to avoid the summer promotion tournament as it is continuing to close. Yeah, I nailed that.
Level 5
Stay right
versus
here
level
because
5.
we will be right back.
Chachi is just straight up dead, just needs one more auto attack, gets him with the takedown. That'll be the first blood over to Yankos. And Ryu now follows up. That'll be the first kill, the second, the punish onto Unicorns of Love. Flash away, respect. The E coming out, but Fox will flash, come into the W. Chachi finds another kill with the chomp coming down. There's the jump in by Yankos, looking to go huge here, but he can only go so far. That's the first kill, but straight up chain CC, triple kill, Alpha, Steelback. Yankos over the wall, looking for the assassinate onto Steelback, but he'll find him with the crit. Double kill in for Steelback. Unicorns of Love, he'll take him down. They'll take down the Nexus itself, and Unicorns of Love with the upset over H2K.